Machine, I just say good. You say good.
Yeah, Mr. Lucy.
Yeah, I recognize the board.
I ain't never been there.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Remember when we used to, Mr. Pickering was on the board, and we used to go to
Good.
get our
Different-
cruiser? We probably should go back to.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Government Employees Retirement System of the Virgin Islands regular board meeting for April 20, 2023 is hereby called to order. Mr. Nips, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Barry.
Excuse.
Trustee Dorsey.
Present.
Trustee Liger. Absent. Ex officio member Richardson.
Excused.
Trustee Russell.
Here.
Trustee Smith.
Present.
Chairman Carwood.
Present.
4 present. 2 excused. 1 absent and 1 excused.
Should be 2 excused.
Well, ex officio
Oh,
member.
well, she's not a voting member. Correct. Okay, comments and suggestions from retirees? Comments and suggestions from active members? Okay, let's move on to item number 5, the Secretary's minutes from the regular board meeting of March 23rd, 2023. Are there any corrections or adjustments that need to be made? Can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by
Recording
trustee,
in progress.
moved by trustee Dorsey, seconded by trustee Smith. Mr. Nix, can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Barry, absent. Trustee Dorsey.
Not voting.
Trustee Liger, absent. Trustee Russell. Trustee Russell. Trustee Russell.
Trustee Russell? Yes, we didn't hear you.
I say yes.
Okay.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Smith.
Yes.
This is still working.
Chairman Carwood.
Yes.
3 yes, 1 not voting, 2 absent.
All right. Item number 6, communications and correspondences.
Okay, I have none other than the correspondence from the Director of Personnel.
Okay. Item number 7, the chairman's report. On April 14th, I took part in the select committee meeting with respect to the search for the new administrator. On April 18th, we held our investment committee meeting where we got an update from our investment managers. And yesterday, on April 19th, the budget committee met to have their mid-year review of the annual budget. That concludes the chairman's report.
Point of information, Chair.
Yes, sir.
I did not get any notification that we had a budget committee meeting, and I had asked to participate in. So the next time, if I can be notified, I'd appreciate it.
Noted.
I'm Mr. Chairman, I missed half. I wonder if I should sign in again or something. I don't know. Check my internet and it's up straight. So I don't know what's happening. But yeah.
You tried by phone, Trustee Russell?
Yeah, I don't try by phone because this thing will I didn't hear. What's the phone number? Call. I can call it now.
I think if you look in the stuff that Ms.
Yeah,
Nataya
okay.
sent, it should have a number, ID number,
Yeah,
and a passcode.
yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna see if I get on. Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
yeah, since my office is the one that sent out the notice for the budget committee meeting, my understanding is that all trustees advise of a committee meeting only when it's the investment committee meeting. If they're committee meetings, standing committee meetings, is only the members of those committees are invited. Am I correct?
That has been a practice.
So how should I handle this going forward? Since it appears that, you know, I've heard this before, that they want, you know, a member wants to be invited. I only invite people who are members of the standing committee. The only time all trustees are invited is to the investment committee. I just want to, because I'm the one that sends out a notice.
Okay, but yes, duly noted. But I mean, that has been a practice. But at the end of the day, I mean, any trustee is free to attend any meeting, even though they're not a member of the committee, and therefore they won't be voting, but they have a right to participate. So, in light of that, in light of that, I have no problem with notifying all the trustees of the committee meetings.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you.
Russell, Trustee Russell.
Good morning.
Good morning, Trustee Liger. Trustee
Good morning.
Russell.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just checking to make sure we could hear you. Seems much better.
Because I put it on my phone and it working. Okay, good.
Okay, much better.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Trustee Liger, you wanted us to add something?
Huh?
I thought Trustee Liger was trying to add something.
No, I just get in.
Okay.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Nibs, you could proceed with the administrator's report.
Okay. On March 28th, I attended the pre-proposal meeting for the RFP for the engineering services for the waterline replacement at Havenside Mall. On the 29th, I attended the Havenside Mall Oversight Committee meeting to review and discuss the cost proposal for the respondent to the RFP for strategic and infrastructure plan. That same day, I met with a compliance officer regarding the status of processing the annual benefit statements. On the 30th, I met with Vitec in regards to the issuance of the processing of the annual statements and resolution of an issue, software issue. On April 3rd, the Havenside Mall committee meeting met an emergency meeting to discuss the structural failure of the eastern side of Building 3 at Havenside Mall. On that same day, I attended the development committee meeting. On April 11th, I met with WAPA in regards to the pre-proposal questions from the respondent, the RFP for engineering services for the waterline replacement at Havenside Mall. On the 13th, special Havenside Mall Oversight Committee meeting regarding the pre-contract scope of work discussions on the strategic and infrastructure plan. On the 18th, I attended the investment committee meeting. On the 19th, I attended the budget committee meeting, mid-year meeting yesterday. In regards to the status of the retirement application, as of April 15, there are 141 applications still pending or remaining to be processed. The majority is in calendar year 2022, which is 72 remaining. In 2023, there are 64 applications that were received and none processed to date. As far as the refunds, there are 481 refunds that were processed, cases completed from October through March 31, 2023. for a total of $5.3 million. Of those cases completed, 262 are non-vested members for a tune of $4.7 million. Debt benefits from October through March 31, there were 18 cases that were completed. Of those 18, 12 members were active, and the total amount that were submitted were $939,674.99. The accounting of the retirees as of April 14 payroll, 8,782 retired members. Total amount paid out from October to April 14, $143,125,449.92. Number of retirees added to the payroll from October 1 through April 14, 218. Number of deceased retirees deleted from the payroll from October through April 14, 169. The gross payroll for the April 14, 2023 was $11,104,975.51. The active members at this time, this period of reporting, was about 8,999 members. Loan portfolio, as of the end of March 2023, there were 966 units still outstanding. Retiree personal loans, active and retiree, 910 units, and mortgages, 56 units still outstanding. Total outstanding portfolio as of March 2023 for the loan, $10,448,032.05. St. Croix Complex, no major issues other than ongoing maintenance. Projects in process, painting of the exterior columns, replacing missing tiles and refurbishing the fountain outside in the downstairs, and directional signage. St. Thomas Office Complex, the southern flat roof will need replacement in the near future as a TPO. I asked Mr. Clendenin what that was. It's a scientific word. I don't have it right in front of me, but we have to replace the southern flat roof because it's at end of life. Air conditioning project, the service provider carrier will be on site the week of April 17 to start some work on the air conditioner. The new 500 kW generator for the complex is expected to arrive on island by the end of April. A decision made to build a new enclosure for unit with a switchgear, which was presented to the board a couple months ago. The next step is the architectural drawings and permits for the new enclosure, which is about $16,000. Inside Mall, the warehouse demolition work continues on warehouse number 4. Environmental concept tested the remaining metal trusses, all tested negative except the tracks for the metal roll-up doors, which will be disposed of island. The new warehouse, refurbishment of warehouse J, pictures with roof and completed sides are shown below. There is an issue which may cause some delay. The manufacturer of the magazine has not performed. However, yesterday we did make contact with him, and we will have an update in the next board meeting. As far as the hotel development, CCMZ hearing is expected sometimes this week to provide a final date for that hearing. Once posted, CCM waits 10 to 14 days for input from the public before the hearing can take place to approve the project. The St. Thomas Historical Trust, as you know, we are forming a public-private partnership with them to convert the White House to a museum. A meeting is scheduled for the week of May with them to make final decision. The generator at the Havenside Mall, as you know, we received that generator. We're waiting for electrical engineers from Puerto Rico to visit the site and start planning for construction of that of the generator. Building 3, there was a structural failure. In the early morning of April 3rd, 2023, a portion of the overhang collapsed at Deli Deck Restaurant at Havenside Mall. You know that building was built in 1975. The concrete overhang failed due to rusted and corroded steel in the concrete. Earthquake tremor that morning may have been a trigger, but it did collapse around 5:30 in the morning. The overhang is primarily used for maintenance and hurricane shutter installation. The window and frames were also damaged. The engineer suggested that the overhang inside the restaurant's outside seating be reinforced with columns and beams. This is the picture shown below. Of the damage to the area. The structural engineer recommendation is that all the overhangs be removed and resurfaced. The delegate outside eating area must be detached from the overhangs. And he suggests a column be erected and the outdoor eating area attached to that column. So we are waiting the final report from the structural engineer. And in the budget committee yesterday, I discussed this with the chair, and we expected some costs to be added in the budget between now and September 30th, because the work has to be done to make sure the safety of the area. The office building rentals as of March. In the month of March, we collected $58,717.32. Total year to date, we collected $637,941.77. Rental is $397,517.14. Arrearages as of March 30th, it's $176,544.08. Of that amount, $109,486.60 are arrearages for the rental. Leases, the Equus Workforce Solution, which was formerly Job Corps, the lease was forwarded to Equus. The contract manager and GRS Legal are discussing the language of the lease. Division of Personnel, both parties signed the lease, and it was sent to PNP on April 5th. To determine availability of funds, I guess. Department of Justice, as per the Department of Problem Procurement, the DOJ is required to provide proof of funding. The DOJ CFO confirmed that DOJ is working to obtain the payment documentation so the Department of Property Procurement can finalize the processing of the agreement. As of 4/4/23, the DOJ is still seeking additional funding from OMB for the rental increase amount to complete the execution of the lease. February and March rent payments are in progress, which is shown in Exhibit A. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I like that report, but I have several questions. Was anybody injured when that building collapsed?
No, it happened around about 5:30 in the morning.
Oh, okay. So that it's just structural damage and that we have to repair. How work with the business interruption, if there is any? Is there any business interruption at all?
There were 2 days business interruption, and we are working with them on that.
Okay, good. Okay. You know what? Go back to that. You said you gave a report on active retirees, and I like that, but I wanted to find out. I see you said at least 8,099.
That fluctuates. Those are active employees. That's as of that moment when we capture that, but that fluctuates back and forth. But at that time, when it was given to me in the report, there were about 8,999,000 active. Those that are submitting contributions. Contributions are committed submitted
Yeah.
for. That changes every week.
Yeah, and the thing I wanted, okay, are they separated based on the tiers that they're in, or all of these, or and also how is the law? I asked you that the last time, but is the law making a difference where retirees coming back to work, and when they come back to work, are they coming back in tier 1 or tier 2? What's the breakdown of that? Tier 1 and tier 2, and when they come back to work. You have that available?
Well, we only have 9 individuals that came back to work under that law.
Yeah, okay.
Now, I'm going to take a stab at it. The law is that if you come back to work within a 5-year period, you would remain the tier, like say if you were tier 1 and you retired, if you come back
Yes.
to work within the 5-year period, then you come back as a tier 1. If you come back after the 5-year period, you're tier 2.
Okay,
So
good.
I see that Ms. Sasso is on the call. If she wants to, correct me, please do so. But that's my understanding.
Yeah, and okay, do
Good
we
morning.
want,
Ms.
go ahead.
Sasso?
Good
Go
morning,
ahead.
Mr. Nibs. I don't think that it matters what tier the individuals are returning as, because they're not really members of the system, only as it relates to the percentage that we'll be getting out of their monies. But it doesn't matter, because we're not going to be paying any benefits, any additional benefits to them.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, you're correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, now, okay, good. And do we need to advertise to the over 7,000 retirees that they could come back to work without a penalty? Do they know that?
I don't know if that's our responsibility. I think that's the division of personnel or the agency. I'm not, I mean, we can go ahead and do it, but that's not our responsibility. I think that's the division of personnel recruiting.
Okay.
Or the responsible semi-autonomous agency.
Okay.
You can put it out there, I mean, which we have already. We know the law, what it is. A retiree can come back to work after 9, I think it was 9 months.
Yeah, I think it was.
But I don't think that's GRS responsibility.
Okay, and then you're meeting with the budget, okay. And what budget you talking about, our internal budget that needs to be modified to rectify the issues you spoke about, right? That's what it is?
Yeah, for the Havenside side, the budget, I mean, I can send you a copy of what was presented, but the budget for the system, let's say the system is on target at the 50%, mark, 6 months mark. The issues with the Havenside Mall, because of these projects and situations that have occurred subsequent to the approval of the budget, we may have to come back. And I think we said that maybe in the board retreat, we can give more detail, but we will probably have to come back for an increase or modification to the budget. We're looking where we can probably see if we can find some cushion or some savings, but we will come back to the budget committee. And that was discussed with the chairman yesterday, maybe for modification.
Okay, last, and I like that very detailed report. I got to the section which you were talking, I think, wait, let me see. I'm looking at it. Scroll down for me, Mr. Nibs. Yeah. Mortgages, stop. That's where they. Okay, now, these were loans after the moratorium on loans, right?
Now, these mortgages were prior to, I think it only had but one that was in process, a couple that were in process when the moratorium came in, and so we had an obligation to go forward with them. But,
okay.
But the active loans, the personal loans, those are going to expire, I think, in 2025, around there, in the next 2 years.
Okay. How is our default rate regarding these loans? I think that's important because if we want to enter a loan program again, we have to understand, whatever liability is attached to a loan. So how does our default rate shape up with these loans?
We don't really have any default rate for the personal loans. It's attached to your contributions. So let's say, for instance, you resign and you haven't paid off the loan, you're not coming in to pay out of pocket, we take it out of your contributions. So there's no default. It's guaranteed.
I thought so.
Mortgages, since I've been here, maybe one or two due to hurricane or something, but legal has been able. I think was able to repossess those properties.
Okay.
Kathy can correct me if I'm incorrect.
You're right, Mr. Nibbs. We only had one property we actually took back. It's a piece of vacant land. The other foreclosures were all settled before we actually had to go to a sale. So the mortgages were paid off.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to hear. And I hope that the public listening, because it's a public meeting. Okay. Thank you very much, Attorney Smith and Mr. Nibbs. That's the end of my questions.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any more questions? If none, thank you.
All right. Let's move on to the committee reports. I'll start. We had an investment committee meeting on Monday, the 18th, Tuesday. Sorry. Where we got a update from Makita, our investment advisors, with respect to the performance of our portfolio. The budget committee met yesterday just for media review. At the time we passed the administrative budget for the system, we agreed that we would get together halfway through the year to see where we were at numbers wise, to see if there were any changes that needed to be made to the budget. I am happy to report that we are right at where we should be, at the midpoint, and in some areas we're even a little below. So I could say with absolute assurance that we're going to be able to come in either at budget or under the administrative budget that we approved. So there are no significant changes that need to be made. At the board retreat, we have some further discussions regarding some of the matters that came up at Haven site. At that point in July, we should have some concrete numbers, so we know exactly what we're dealing with. So that concludes the report with respect to the budget committee. A lot of the other specifics Mr. Ned spoke about in his response to Trustee Russell. All right, that concludes my report. Mr. Russell, Trustee Russell.
Yes, I had a meeting.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Very nice. Okay, my report. Okay. Mr. Nibbs and Ms. Clendena gave an excellent report regarding how the development committee would assume some of the responsibilities that were not being addressed in development. And they gave, I think, a very promising report for development of the vacant properties that we have. Now, the board will have to make that decision, but I was very encouraged by, I think, Jordanian or what? Mr. Nibbs. Jordanian gave a rendering that, from my point of view, we should just move forward and do what they suggested a while back. But that's my point of view, because I was thoroughly impressed with the renderings and the concepts. Conceptually, I mean, one or two might change, a hotel, there are a couple things might change, but all in all, they gave a good rendering of how we could use this property to benefit the territory and members, okay? And then Mr. Nibs gave a report as to, what's the status of what had happened to those renderings and where we were. Of course, we had resolutions, and we were in problems with our finances. Okay, so I could understand that. Okay, additionally, I wanted to say that the way that we're moving now, Mr. Chair and members and the public, where the committees actually meet, it's encouraging because the future looks bright. And we're going to be meeting toward that end every Monday, first Monday of the month. And then we participate in the additional meetings, and then a full report could be given to the monthly meetings, and the public will be updated. Okay. Now, I want to say that since the development committee meeting, I got reports from all the committees that met. And when we reach to an appropriate time, Mr. Chair, I want to make some recommendations regarding selecting a new CEO and developing a plan to move forward. As far as the committee, that the important factor was Mr. Nibs' report, the transition that might happen between some of the things that Mr. Nibs managing that our development committee tasks, and the intertwining of how the administrative staff would work with the development committee. And I think that went well. So it's encouraging, and to see that the committees are meeting and giving, input into the development of a system that's going to work, I feel encouraged. That ends my report.
All right, thank you, Trustee Russell. All right, Treasurer's report.
Okay, good morning, Board Chair, other trustees.
Good morning.
This is the Government Employees Retirement System, schedule of receipts and disbursement for the month of March 31st, 2023. Receipts from collections, we have loan repayments, $569,001. Year to date, $3,931,090. We have rent from tenants, $78,833. Year to date, $376,714. Employer retirement contributions, we have $8,255,327. Year to date, $47,403,501. Employee retirement contribution, $4,653,772. Year to date, $27,398,529. We have the GERS bond note, we had nothing, but year to date, $157,996,500. We have a total collection of $13,739,668 for the month of March. Year to date, $239,299,792. Our disbursements, we have annuity payments of $22,645,455. Year to date, $141,091,646. Administrative expenses, $1,109,340. Year to date, $7,246,334. Refund of contributions, $956 $6,740. Year-to-date, $6,481,857, for total disbursements of $24,723,343 for the month of March. Year-to-date, $154,940,382. We have a net cash deficit of $10,983,675 year-to-date, a net cash surplus of $84,359,410. We have withdrawal from the investment portfolio at March 30th of $70 million. For the Havenside Mall, we had collected for the month of March $390,593. Year-to-date collection $2,707,424. Disbursements total for the month of March $556,888. Year-to-date $2,651,315. We had a net cash deficit of $166,295, but a net cash surplus year-to-date of $56,110. And our expenses thus far for Havenside Mall is 33% of the budget. That ends the reading of the Treasurer's report.
Thank you, Ms. Jeremiah. Any questions for Ms. Jeremiah?
Just a question with the drawdown. Can you explain that a little bit more, Ms. Jeremiah?
As we need cash to meet the retiree payroll, we draw down, whether we have been drawing down every other month. And so in the month of March, we drew down 20 million. And so year to date, we had drew down a total of 70 million.
Oh, okay. I got you. Thank you.
Ms. Jeremiah, good morning. So when we have a surplus in a particular area, has it ever been considered to use the surplus and to reduce the drawdown so that we don't affect our, investments in other areas? Tell me about that.
When you say a surplus in a particular area, what do you mean?
With surplus, I hear you talking about surplus in Havenside Mall.
But Havenside Mall is a different company. We can borrow if you want us to borrow, I guess, but it's a different company completely. So we can't just take the money willy-nilly and do what we want.
Okay, no, I didn't mean it that kind of way.
Yeah, but also that's cumulative. Right now, Havenside Mall don't have $84,000, 84 million sitting there. It's only about 9 million in cash that is sitting in Havenside Mall accounts. So we have to understand that.
Okay, well, that a little clearer to me. I was thinking you had 84 there, and then you need to borrow 70 million from you'd use Havenside Mall. Okay.
Well, if that was the case, there would have to be some type of a loan note or something that would be drawn up to move those funds. But there's not $84 million sitting there. That's a
okay. Okay. You clarified a bit there because it sounded like a lot to me. And I was saying, well, why are we borrowing from the portfolio? Borrow from Havenside Mall and then we move forward. Okay.
If that was the case, you would have been investing that money someplace, but it's not.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the report. And thank you for the clarification, Mr. Nibbs.
Any other questions for Ms. Jeremiah? Can I get a motion to accept the Treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by trustee Dorsey, seconded by trustee Russell. Can I have a roll call, Mr. Nibbs?
Trustee Baldry, absent. Trustee Dorsey. Trustee Dorsey.
Yes.
Trustee Liger. Trustee Liger. Absent. Trustee Russell.
Yeah.
Trustee Smith. Chairman Calwood.
Yes.
4 yes, 2 absent.
All right, next up.
Mr. Nibbs, I am here, and my vote is yes.
Okay, Mr. Liger, thank you.
Mhm.
5 yes, 1 absent.
All right, thank you. Next up, the investment officer's report.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, to the trustees. This is an update of the investment portfolio as of March 31st, 2023. The total plan returned 1.3% for the month. Total domestic equity returned 2.6%. Our total international equity funds returned 2.8%. Total fixed income returned 2.1% for the month of March. And our total alternatives was down negative 4.8%. Fiscal year to date, the plan is up 5.4%. Domestic equity, total domestic equity is up 6.2% fiscal year to date. Our international equity funds are up 19.5% fiscal year to date. And our total fixed income portfolio is up 5.6% fiscal year to date. Notably for the month of March, our Russell 3000 index fund was up 2.6%. Our emerging market index fund was up 3.3%. And that index fund is also up about 20% since inception of that particular index fund. US TIPS was up 2.9% for the month. What did that translate into in dollars, in a dollar amount? We ended the month at approximately $468.9 million of assets. That excludes the member loans program and our office complexes. We did raise $20 million in the month of March to replenish our cash on hand after that withdrawal that CFO just spoke about. So we took $15 million from our US aggregate bond index. We took $5 million from our Russell 3000 growth index and converted to cash so we could have that cash on hand. So if you look at the record of asset growth, we began the month at approximately $482.7 million. We had that $20 million cash flow out of the fund to pay benefit expenses. We had a negative income of $3.5 million. We had a gain in the unrealized gain in the portfolio for the month of approximately $9.6 million, which brought us to that ending market value of $468.9 million. Fiscal year to date, we started at $355 million approximately. We had a net cash flow of a positive $87.8 million. That includes the receiving of the funding note monies. We have negative income of about $2.3 million. We had an unrealized gain of about $28 million fiscal year to date, which brings us to that $468.9 million market value at the end of March. As it relates to fees, we paid no fees for calendar month to date, ending March. Fiscal year to date, we've paid about $229,000 in expenses and fees. Securities lending, month to date, we've collected about $3,400. Fiscal year to date, we've collected about $12,500 for fiscal year to date. And Mr. Chair, trustee, that concludes my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions for Mr. Henderson?
Yes, Chair, I have a quick question. Mr. Henderson, let me just ask you, how do you determine or how do you decide which accounts to draw down the monies from to make our monthly annuity payments? How do you determine that?
That determination is usually used. We would use cash need draw to usually rebalance the portfolio. So that determination would be made, and I don't have the. As you know, we have target allocations for different sectors of the portfolio. So if any particular sector, any particular target is out of whack, we would rebalance that particular target back to where it needs to be using those cash flows. So that determination usually factors highly into how we would draw cash from a particular manager. And of course, performance as well.
So, okay, so there's no penalties in how we draw down monies from these different accounts at this point, these different funds, right?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ross.
Thank you. Yeah. So, following up with Mr. Dorsey's question, so you evaluate which fund is the best fund to draw down from to sort of remain consistent with some kind of benefit to the system without the drawing down harming the system. That's the
yes, we try to as much as possible to alleviate a negative impact on the fund. Yes. Like I mentioned, we work with Mikita, our consultant, to identify, first of all, where we might be over or underweight in a particular area within the portfolio. And then we would look at, current valuations within those funds, and all of that coming together would help us make a determination as to which particular funds we would tap to draw assets.
Okay, good.
Replenish. I mean, we, as Ms. Jeremiah stated, we do have to, unfortunately, tap the fund ever so often for cash to pay benefits and expenses. And, we try our best to alleviate any negative impact to the fund as much as possible.
Yeah. The next question I asked in the investment committee meeting, but I'm going to dive a little deeper here since this is a public meeting. Okay, we got a portfolio that deals with the European and whatever market that is. And then we have a portfolio that deals with, U.S. investments. And Mikita said that because of the devaluing of the dollar, it keeps, I think it was from 114 to 105 or 6, something like that. We gained money in the European market, right?
Correct.
But how did that affect the U.S. market? That's what I want to know.
The U.S. market, not so much being affected by the dollar declining, more so than the pressures of inflation currently.
Okay.
So as Mikita stated to you in the committee meeting, as it pertains to our international holdings or the international funds, they are going to be impacted more by the declining dollar, because as we repatriate those international funds, because remember now, when we purchase international funds, technically, we would purchase those within the denomination of the home country.
Yes.
Right? But when we're repatriating those funds back now, we're repatriating those funds back in U.S. currency. And the decline in dollar in that aspect benefits our international positions.
Yes. Okay, good. I got that. Okay, so you say inflation affects our U.S.
Right. On the domestic side, what's going on with, inflation, the Fed rise in the Fed increasing rate, right,
yeah,
it has more of an impact on the domestic side than anything else.
So when they raise the interest rate, we lose money, you're saying?
Well, you know, they've been, if you look at treasuries, for instance, so
Yeah.
Fed's been raising interest, right? So the Fed's been raising interest rates, which has been essentially, you know, the increasing yields, which in essence have been compressing prices of those treasuries, which have a negative effect on our portfolio.
Okay. Okay. And then the last question for you. Okay. So when you interact with Mikita, I want to understand that, because simply put, I like how you explain stuff. And when you interact with Mikita, how do you translate that into how you explain stuff with us and the decisions they make and the decisions you make?
Well, you have to remember, as a consultant, Mikita's role is a little more different to my role for the system. So as a consultant, overall consultant for the system, Mikita's role, and it's my role to an extent, but it's of more of an overview or the gatekeeper to our managers.
Okay.
So
that's Mikita.
Right.
Okay.
My role is similar to Mikita in terms of, yes, I also overview the managers, but I also internally, you know what I'm saying? I would say internally also I would, have more, I don't know how to explain, but internally I would more have alongside that role with the managers, I also have to dialogue also with the custodian bank and stuff like that. So we kind of work hand in hand, not really, my determination over Mikita. We work hand in hand together as staff and consultant. I don't know if that's understandable to you.
Yeah, I think I understand.
Yeah. So we work together. There's no overlapping determination as to I would circumvent, a decision that they, or a recommendation that they make to staff or to the trustees. Usually, we're lockstep in step as to, what we feel is best for the system overall.
Oh, so you communicate with them sort of often and keep abreast of what they're doing, and they keep abreast of what you're doing.
Correct. And as it pertains to stuff like, cash draws and the need for cash, we communicate regularly as to where the portfolio is at a given time, what we feel needs to be done in terms of, upcoming cash need, or based on how the market is moving as well.
Okay, very good. I needed that explanation.
No problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions? Okay, can I get a motion?
Yeah, I have another question, Mr. Chair.
Sorry about Trustee Doty, go ahead.
Yeah, just a question. So after hearing the explanation to Trustee Russell, since we had the influx of the bond monies, so when you look at the influx of the bond monies and the drawdowns we've been doing, I guess up to the 70 million at this point, are we ahead? Is the portfolio ahead at this point?
Yes.
Or are we behind?
Yes, we are. As I mentioned, if you look at the chart on the screen, fiscal year, we are up 5.4%, or the portfolio is up 5.4%. So we're up.
Okay. And the other question I had, because of that 70 million that we're looking at, and I guess if we average out from last year, do we need to go back to the plan sponsor? Because Because I remember we had that discussion, I believe, with Mr. Allman in reference to
Welcome to Zoom. Please press pound, then
8, 6, 1, 3, 7, 2, 3, 8.
please enter the meeting passcode, followed by the pound sign.
Nikita made some feelers out there.
You are in the meeting
interest
now.
in doing so.
Recording in progress.
So that $2 billion that you're talking about, Nikita did make some calls to different investors, and they were not interested because there was no guarantee. Okay, so I think we need to step back from that $2 billion that you're thinking about.
Mr. Nibs, Makita is not the only game in town. They made calls. We all know that. They might have done it twice, and it didn't work out for them. But I'm hoping that we're not putting all our eggs in one basket for just one group saying that they're not able to deliver what we need at this point. The only thing I was asking, Mr. Alwyn Siegel was indicating to us in his report, we have this shortfall coming, which will put us back in insolvency, and we need to look at ways to offset that. That was one of the options that he mentioned, and Makita was in agreement. Now, Makita went out to try to find somebody that would take the note, and they weren't able to do that. I don't think we should stop there. However, this is just where we're at. So what the question I was asking, if the $2 billion would allow Mr. Henderson to sleep better at night. I was just trying to figure out if that was the magic number, and I didn't get an answer.
It would leave. It would let all members of the system to sleep better. There were other options. Other options were increasing the employer rate, and that has been on the table. That has been in table for a period of time. One option was to increase the rate now instead of wait for the 5-year period. Another year was to increase it up to 33%. So there are options on the table. And from what I understand, we are waiting for the legislative committee. I did speak with Frederick to be in the meetings that we used to have to determine how we can bridge that gap. So that hasn't started as yet. But like I said, there's no appetite for the $2 billion that we're talking about because those monies are not guaranteed. You see what is happening with the shortfall right now from the tax situation, right?
Are you referring to the cover over, Mr.
Yes,
Nibs?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Mr. Nibs, we were told by Mr. Simmons, PFA, that the cover over number at $10.50 a gallon was twice the amount that was needed for the note. He did tell us that. So at the $13.25 number, that was 3 times the amount. So we're good based on the note. That's what Mr. Simmons indicated. So we're still good. That really has nothing to do with this situation. If what Mr. Simmons was saying is correct, that has nothing to do with what I'm asking today. What I was asking today was what would be the number that would allow Mr. Henderson to sleep well at night. I still didn't get an answer from Mr. Henderson.
Mr. Dorsey, I can't determine which number would be, $2 billion sounds good. We haven't run the numbers to tell. Who knows?
Okay, so you're saying that now, but when Mr. Alwyn was there, we did run the numbers, and the numbers he came up with was 1.5 billion. That's what he came up with. And then Makita said they were going to go out to market to see if they can get an institution that would take that on. There's only a handful of those institutions that would probably take that on in the country. But it's not unheard of. We do have a number.
I think what Makita reported back is that I guess the structure of the funding note as it is right now, as Mr. Nips stated, they weren't getting the appetite based on the structure of the funding note as it is right now.
Yeah, but that could be
a 30-year term. The term was too long, and there was no guarantee that it can be paid. It's a 30-year. It wasn't restricted in the terms. The terms were 30 years that we went out looking for.
Yeah, but you could refinance that. It doesn't have to be refinanced at 30 years.
Discuss in the board retreat or in investment committee meeting. But there's no appetite. They can go back, but there was no appetite to those investors who specialize in these type of deals. There was no appetite for that structuring. So
I hear you, Mr. Nibbs. I hear you.
We need to look at other areas and not sitting down and see where the plan sponsor can maybe contribute more.
Well, now we're saying the same thing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, well, I want to chime in. I want to chime in because I believe at the retreat, we have to come up with a plan to try to get the gasoline excise tax in the mix. I had drafted an executive order, and the president, although he had indications that he saw it and he considered it, and his staff, there was no appetite for it at that time, but the dynamics of the national budget and the national finances is changing. And I think we should discuss that in the retreat. Maybe we could leverage that. Maybe we could do something with a promise from the federal government that would rectify the 1.5 or $2 billion. So I want to make sure that we discuss that in our retreat, and I'm going to indicate it to the chair so that when the retreat comes through, we could really explore real and concrete options to get us more money. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to accept the investment officer's report?
I make the motion. I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Moved by Trustee Russell, seconded by Trustee Smith. Can I get a roll call, please, Mr. Nibbs?
Trustee Barry, absent. Trustee Dorsey?
Yes.
Trustee Liger?
Yes.
Trustee Russell?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Coward?
Yes.
5 yes, 1 absent.
All right. Thank you. That's it. The investment officer's report. Executive session. Is there anything else before we adjourn this meeting?
Yeah, please. Mr. Chairman, getting ready to interview applicants for the CEO position. I want to make a motion to have Mr. Nibbs to become a voting member of that committee so that he can have direct input into the next CEO that we select. So I move to include Mr. Nibbs as a voting member of that committee. I so move.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Russell, seconded by Trustee Dorsey. Can I have a roll call, Mr. Nibbs?
Trustee Barry, absent. Trustee Dorsey,
Yes.
Trustee Liger, Trustee Liger,
Yes, yeah, I'm here.
are you voting for the motion?
Yes, I said yes.
Oh, okay, sir. Thank you. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Not voting.
not voting. Trustee Colwood,
No.
no. It's 3 yes, 1 not voted, 1 no, 1 absent.
Motion carries.
Thank you. And Mr. Calwood, one more thing. I want to attend that October conference in Boston. I think we had a good time the last time, but more importantly, we get, the funding note, the finances changed, and our investments making money. We need to look at what other financially viable systems doing, and I think all members should attend. I want to attend. So I know you have said that you may not be available, but want to encourage all members and staff, some of the staff to attend. So I just making that note, and I'm making it note in public so the public will know that we will be attending something to give us our education and enhance us as the system move forward. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Have a roll call, Mr. Nibbs.
Trustee Barry is absent. Trustee Dorsey,
Yes.
Trustee Liger, Trustee Liger,
Yes.
thank you. Trustee Russell,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Colwood,
Yes.
5 yes, 1 absent.
All right, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Have a safe carnival, everyone.
Meeting done.